I'm Anne Marie Bush, Director of Communications at KNEA, and with me is Timothy R. Graham, KNEA Director of Government Relations. Last week, he agreed to let me call him Tim, but this week I took it a little too far. I was in my office with Robin Bonsall, Administrative Assistant for KNEA's Government Relations. We were in my office, and I jokingly told Robin when Tim called me on the phone, I said, "Oh, your boss Timmy's calling me." But when I answered, I accidentally called him Timmy. So I think we'll just stick with Tim this week.
That's all right. That's not the worst thing I was called yesterday. So.
This week, we want to catch you up on some of the bills we've been tracking and some of the ones that we've provided testimony for. Unfortunately, things at the State House move so quickly, by the time we're finished with this podcast, there'll probably be more changes and updates. For the latest news, though, you can always check out KNEA's Under the Dome website at www.ksutd.org. Again, that's www.ksutd.org. Tim, last week we talked about the bathroom bill, which is substitute bill for Senate Bill 244. By the time we had uploaded the podcast, the Kansas House and Senate had moved it through, and on Tuesday, February 3rd, the bill was officially enrolled and presented to Governor Laura Kelly. The bill passed both chambers with 2/3 majority needed to override a veto. What does that mean moving forward, Tim? And can you give us a little update on that bill?
Yeah, so the bill, like you said, it's passed both the House and the Senate, and it's been enrolled. So it's now in the possession of the governor. And Governor Kelly will decide now what she is going to do with the bill. She has three options, basically. You can veto the bill. She could let the bill become law without her signature, or she could sign the bill. I don't believe she'll sign the bill. I'm not sure whether she'll let it become law without her signature. I would anticipate a veto, but I'm not sure because, as you said before, the bill has already reached the votes needed in both the House and the Senate to override that veto. So the question for her and her staff and everybody else under the dome over there is whether she feels strongly enough about going through another big fight, because she's been very, very willing to use that veto, and it upsets a lot of people. And so it will be another big fight if she vetoes it. They will definitely try to override her. And it looks like right now they have the votes to override her.
All right. Yesterday, you testified against House Bill 2428, saying it undermines academic freedom. Can you tell listeners more about this bill and kind of what it all entails?
Yeah, this bill basically does three things. It would prohibit a college from requiring any DEI, CRT-related courses in order to satisfy the requirements of any academic program. So, to give you an example, if you were if you were going to get a math degree, or you were going to get a history degree,
or a political science degree,
the institution would be prohibited from requiring any sort of DEI or CRT related courses. Now, there's no official definition of what DEI CRT is, so they throw that into the bill, and it's very wide encompassing and far-ranging things that they have put in the bill to define DEI, and it would really cause a lot of academic freedom problems in the bill. The bill also prohibits a college from requiring any DEI CRT related trainings related to several personnel actions like promotion, course evaluation, performance review, and anything along those lines. The third thing it does, the bill sets up a freshman orientation requirement that is it's outside the purview of the legislature. That's not for the legislature to decide how organizations or higher ed institutions conduct their orientation. And of course, the big elephant in the room was basically the declaration by several proponents of the bill that DEI, which, by the way, is diversity, equity, and inclusion, is nothing more than a political ideology and therefore not appropriate in the classroom. We heard that in several testimonies yesterday. Very, very disappointing. Hard to sit through at times in that committee hearing, particularly when you know you got to get up and testify on it after you hear all that and keep your cool,
And it looked like it was pretty packed in there yesterday.
It was packed. As a matter of fact, they had the overflow room that was open. So the room itself, which we can probably fit 25 people in there, was people were standing at the back, so they moved them to the overflow room. So yes, there were a lot of people up there on both sides of the bill.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that update. Yep. Also, can you fill us in on House Bill 2468? This is one we've also called the voucher bill.
Yeah. So, this is what we call the voucher bill. So if you remember, this was the bill that would opt us into the federal tax credit scholarship program that was included in the Big Beautiful Bill. And it also expands the state's so-called low-income scholarship program. Again, we have opposed this bill because it's in the family of vouchers. We always oppose tax credits that end up benefiting, private schools. The bill passed out of committee and was placed on the calendar to be debated in the House, and that date is to be determined.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Let's see. What about House Bill 2420? This is the bill that requires districts to obtain parental consent prior to providing certain school-based mental health services to a student. I know KNEA opposed the bill on January 22nd, but can you kind of tell us where that bill's at right now?
Yeah, so that bill also has passed out of the committee. It was amended, and I'll talk about that here in a second, but it is passed out of the committee. And again, just like the voucher bill, it has been placed on the calendar to be debated in the House with the date to be determined. So again, like you said earlier, what the bill basically did is it required two forms of parental permission before carrying out Tier 1 and Tier 3, Tier 2 and Tier 3 MTSS strategies and interventions. And those two forms, one had to be direct verbal consent, the other had to be written. So to give you an example of what a Tier 2 intervention may be, an educator might pull a child aside and help them regulate their emotions. Take a deep breath, let's calm down, go to a happy place. And in the way the bill was drafted, should a teacher do that without both written and oral permission from a parent or guardian, the district would be subject to a $5,000 penalty. So we oppose that bill for obvious reasons. Thanks to an onslaught of testimony and discussion that took place at the Capitol, we were successful in at least getting the committee to strip out the reference to MTSS structured supports in the bill. So we were able to get that taken out. Now, they replaced it with what they're calling counseling-based therapeutic models. So, as amended, the bill would require both written and verbal parental permission to carry out any counseling-based therapeutic services. Kind of letting that marinate right now. We need to reach out to the experts in the field and just see, what does this mean? We're working closely with our other education allies to try to figure out what this means and figure out how we go from here.
All right.
So both the House and the Senate subcommittees on that budget, which in the House, the subcommittee is actually the K through 12 Budget Committee, and in the Senate, the so-called subcommittee is just the Education Committee. They're almost finished with their versions of the respective budgets, right? And they're now being moved to the full committees, full budget committees, and they will deliberate, and then we should anticipate a budget debate in the next couple, I would say in the next week or two. It's moving along the process. We will have more on what those budgets entail probably by the end of the week. But I will say the House has done, the House has only added $10 million to special ed. So, we wanted to see a lot more than that. So we're headed for some tough deliberations ahead on the budget, and hopefully we can change some minds and get a little bit more money in there for special ed, but I'm not hopeful.
So Tim, any other updates you want to share, or other bills that you're testifying on or that we're tracking?
Yeah, I testified this morning real briefly on House Bill 2411. This is a bill that would shorten the waiting period for retired teachers before being allowed to return to the classroom. this bill's not perfect, but we testified in favor of it mainly because of the teacher shortage in Kansas. There's another bill I'm testifying here in about an hour on, and we're going to testify in opposition to this, Senate Bill 421. This bill sets up a call of action for anyone to sue a school district should they believe they've been discriminated on the basis of political, ideological, or religious beliefs. These are protections that are already afforded students under federal law, and there are several avenues to pursue these protections. This bill brings this whole debate on this issue straight into the classroom and has the potential for creating chaos in the classroom. The cause of action I mentioned above, or just a second ago, is up to $5,000 per violation, and it can accrue every day until the so-called violation is addressed with no cap. Now, that's not money out of the teacher's pocket, but that's money that it's taxpayer money that will go to litigation for any reason that they want to claim. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win every time, but this makes it a lot easier for frivolous and politically based lawsuits, axe to grind type of litigation. You don't like a teacher, you don't like a grade you got, so you're going to claim discrimination on one of these bases, and then you're going to take it to court. That's just unacceptable. Now, a lot of the protections that are set up in this bill are probably things that we would support. I mean, because we're big on free speech, and this is being touted as free speech in the classroom. But really, the whole peanut of this bill is the $5,000 cause of action per violation, and the violation being able to just accrue until there's one more bill that we're going to testify on tomorrow, House Bill 2489. We're going to be neutral on that. This is a bill that would create fentanyl awareness curriculum in schools, and then also would require schools to have naloxone, I think is how you call it, which is
medication, basically, that could.
Yeah, medication that could save a life during an overdose, right? Yeah, so what it does is it does require every school to have the naloxone, but the fentanyl abuse education programs are only targeted at grades 9 through 12. We're going to testify neutral on that bill, and we're going to try to get some provision in there that would provide some liability protection for teachers.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, I think that's 11 pieces of testimony, if I counted correctly, since the start. And are we in the 11th week? It feels like it. I think this is the fourth week, in the middle of the
week. It's week 4. Yeah,
it is the 4th week, and yeah. So thanks for the updates, and we'll be back with more. And again, you can tune into the podcast, and also you can check out www.ksutd.org. And I think that's it for this week. Thanks again, Tim.
All right. Thank you, Ann.
Good luck today testifying.
Cool. I'll need it.